somebody, happy anniversary today. You may be seated after you do that. Today is the 24th anniversary of the Charismatic Episcopal Church we belong to, a church God called us to. A church He started, very good work He started in it, and He will faithfully complete it. Appropriate day also for us to be reminded of who we are. Who are we anyway as Charismatic Episcopal Church? Who are we? Jesus told James and John, you don't know what spirit you are of. Or you may have forgotten, but you don't know. You need to know who you are. You need to know whose son you are. You need to know the God after whom you were made in the image and likeness of Him. I want you to listen to these next few words. Just 3 words. CEC, 4, make that 4. CEC is from God. Can you repeat that? The CEC is from God. Say it again. CEC is from God. He began a good work. It was His move, convergence movement, and this denomination is a good thing. We have been tasked as a church to make the kingdom of God visible. That is good. That is good. That is not heretical. That is good. That came from God. You remember this article from the Star, which was on the wall somewhere of near the entrance of the Sheridan Building? You remember that? Did you read that? What was it about? We were proclaimed, made public, this article made a public proclamation of us being involved in reunification. And the article featured how that we have, at that time we had icons, which is Eastern tradition, and we had statues, which is Western tradition. And our worship is East and West and Old and New, because we were and still are, and will continue to be, into uniting the church. The East and the West. Father Obed just reminded me the other day. On July 16, 1054, that was the official date. East and West had their great schism. The Church of the West, which was the Roman Catholic Church, separated with the Eastern Church, which was the Eastern Orthodox Church. July 16, 1054. On July 16, 1993, and it wasn't a coincidence, God appointed the date, July 16, 1993. East, represented by our first leader, and West, represented by the first patriarch of the CEC, met on that day. That started our being grafted into, officially, the Church Catholic through the CEC. It wasn't a coincidence. God was moving. Still is. Still is not a coincidence. It was divine intervention. The CEC was called by God, is still called by God to unify, so that the church can go back to being one, Catholic, undivided. We were, we are, and will continue to be for unity, not division, not schism. And it's a good and right thing. It's not a mistake. Don't ever let anyone fool you into thinking that CEC is a mistake. This is a move of God. It is the move of God. In fact, I dare go further and say what God put together, let no man separate. This is the move of God. This is what we shout to the east and the west, and this is what we should be living out as Charismatic Episcopal Church. Who else are we? Well, I encourage you to get on the website of iccec.org and learn who we are. Learn who you are. Just exhaust all the pages. You can get on a page that will get you to the canons, and there you will find a pretty lengthy section describing who we are. But let me give you just a summary. We are fully sacramental, fully liturgical, and we're also fully evangelical and fully charismatic. We were, we are, we will continue to be forever. Because you know what? In fact, the theologians got together one time, and I was there for a theological conference of theologians of the CEC worldwide. And they said, actually, the word Catholic actually means that, the convergence of these three streams. It's just the church divided. Even there, these streams have been divided. That's what it means to be Catholic. As we at Cathedral of the King described who we are as part of the CEC, we said we were, and we are, charismatic in expression. We're charismatic in expression, then we need to express that, right? Let's not be dead. We're charismatic in expression. We're liturgical in worship. We're orthodox in doctrine. We're evangelical in thrust. We're charismatic because we experience the gifts of the Spirit. And those gifts are supposed to be a normative part of our life and not just our worship. Let me say that again. The gifts of the Spirit are a normative, should be, because of who we are naturally, who we are as God made us. Gifts of the Spirit are a normative part of our worship, but not only of our worship, but of our lives. We still believe in healing. We should be praying for the sick. Do you still pray for the sick like you have been before? You still believe? Do you still pray for each other? Do you still speak in tongues? You still keep your prayer times? Nothing has changed, guys. Nothing. Nothing. I'm telling you who you are, who we are. I'm reminding us. We believe in the gifts of the Spirit. So I'm happy, very happy, that the school, our school, has come up with this form for students to help them but find out what their spiritual gift is. Good job, school, by the way. We used that in CTC before. We need to understand what the gift of God is in us that He gave us, because we need to operate in those things. Because they are our gifts, they are our tools. We believe in charism. The reason we have the name Charismatic Episcopal Church doesn't just mean charismatic, we go, kick there and elbow each other while we sing. No, it means we operate in the gifts, and that's that too, okay? We're still charismatic in expression. But we believe in God's gifts. And we operate in them. We're not to suppress the gifts. Tell your neighbor that. Don't suppress your gift. Because then you will quench the Spirit. We need to flow in the Spirit and in the gift /S that He has given to us. Because part of our task is to carry the power of Pentecost, demonstrate the gifts of the Spirit, carry the power of Pentecost to our brothers and sisters in historic liturgical churches who have forgotten what being Catholic means, which includes being charismatic. They've forgotten that. we also bring the rich sacramental and liturgical life of the early church to searching evangelicals and charismatics. Yung iba kasing charismatic, puro charismatic lang, no? Puro ganyan lang, they have thrown away the rich tradition of the sacraments and liturgy. And we bring that richness of that tradition to them. We also are intentional in our evangelistic efforts. Let me ask you this. When was the last time you just randomly went to a stranger, approached them, and talked to them about Jesus? When? When? That used to be part of our everyday lives. What happened? I'm reminding us of who we are. Reminding us of who we are. We provide a home for all Christians who seek a Catholic, evangelical, and charismatic church and a foundation for their lives and gifts of ministry. This is who we are as CEC. I'm reminding us. But the convergence of all these three streams, yung charismatic, yung evangelical, and liturgical, they're not just a theological or doctrinal position. Hindi lang to viewpoint, hindi lang to opinion. This is a way of life. This is a mode of life. Ito yung kinakasabuhay natin bilang CEC. We also, as a church, believe in what we call consensus government. Government, our leaders are called bishops. That's why the name Charismatic Episcopal Church. We submit to the authority of bishops and we look to them as chosen people of God, and their authority is God-given. And so we submit to them. We believe in apostolic succession. We believe in continuity in God's everlasting kingdom. Continuity. Because men are not permanent. After us, there will be another generation who will continue to carry the torch of the kingdom of God and do greater things. Continuity. You and I will pass on because the church is not built on or owned by any one personality. Otherwise, you're a cult. Your leader dies, the church dies with it. So what we do is we are faithful on our watch so that we build in this generation and that the next generation can build on what we have built on. And so continue to further the kingdom of God. We also believe in the culture of life. We believe all life is sacred. We are the voice for the voiceless and the unborn, the downtrodden and the oppressed. We are uncompromisingly pro-life. When we say we are pro-life, it doesn't just mean we're against abortion. We are for the sacredness of life, and all life we minister to, we enhance, we strengthen, we encourage. We don't tear down. We're not in the business of tearing down. As CEC, we're pro-life. We're builders. We're committed to building strong and traditional families. We don't believe in same-sex marriage because that's not from God. Traditional families. We speak strongly against injustice and oppression, particularly when it impacts the poor. That's who we are. And you may say, wow, Bishop, ganda ng mga sinabi mo. But can we have some reality check here? Can we? Let me say this. The CEC may be from God, but we are far from ideal. Those things I've mentioned earlier sound good, right? And they're true. They're the ideal. And we're far from that. I said we're against the culture of divorce. But you know what? Reality check. culture of divorce is in our midst. I mean, we have tasted its sting, haven't we? Just being real here, keeping it real. We've been hurt by its sting. Doesn't mean we don't recognize it as our enemy. Divorce is our enemy because we have been called to unite. We shout to the east and the west, unite. And you know what? Like I said, reality check. We have been defeated by this culture of divorce. We have been. We have let our guards down, and we have forgotten who we are, and we have accommodated and let this enemy come into the door. And it's destroyed us. Hence, we have developed a lack of confidence in man. Even in the church, right? Because man has failed us and continues to fail us. And you know what? If you have that feeling, I don't know if I can blame you. I'm not justifying you. I'm just saying I don't know if I can blame you. Hang on. Elijah came to that point. Remember? You read before the start of the reading today. He did all these mighty things. He killed 450 mighty prophets of Baal. And then he got afraid of one woman. One woman. And then he went to a cave, and God asked him, "What are you doing here? Why are you in hiding?" And he said, "My people, the Jews, they have transgressed your covenant. They've forgotten the covenant. They killed the prophets and they're after me. I alone am left. Ako na lang yung tumatayo eh." What was, according to St. Paul in Romans, what was the divine response to him? "I have left 7,000 faithful people who have not bowed their knee to Baal." And notice what else God did. Elijah, sabi niya, "Elijah, akala mo katapusan na ng mundo. This is what I want you to do. This is my kingdom, and it's an everlasting kingdom. So, what you do, you prepare for continuity. You anoint this guy to be prophet, this guy to be king, the other guy to be another king. Because my kingdom goes on." What you're facing does not signal the end of the world, much less the kingdom of God. Kingdom of God will continue because He is everlasting. Not only that, St. Paul said, the deeds of the flesh, drunkenness, carousing, outbursts of anger, enmities, strife, dissension. Have you seen those things? Fighting. Those are our enemies. St. Paul did not put a period after those things. He said, but, say but the fruit of the Spirit is love and goodness and faithfulness and these things. Then you can put a period on it. After that, God's not done. Therefore, you cannot stay in a skeptical attitude forever. You cannot stay hopeless forever. Elijah did not. Paul did not. You must understand that beneath the tarnish of all these things, of all these fleshly things, is God's image in the church. His image and His likeness has been imprinted on the church. Weak as it is because it's composed of people. He continues to scratch and polish and strive till that image Adam lost new, minted, and restored, brightly bears the likeness of the Lord. He is still at work. So I encourage you, hold on to the hope of restoration. 2 years ago on this same occasion, I said something, it was still in my notes, I said something that turned out to be prophetic. And I hope we heeded the call, but this was what I said. We will go through a process that will involve a lot of resolving of issues, disagreements, conflicts, friction, offenses, and we will have to go through a lot of reconciling, respect, acceptance of differences, acceptance of weaknesses, acceptance of each other, and a lot of loving. Man, I was shocked when I saw that in my notes. That was before the storm hit us. We let our guard down. James and John asked Jesus, should we call fire down from heaven to consume these our enemies? We wrestle not against flesh and blood, brothers, but against the culture of death and the culture of divorce. That's our enemy. That's who we fight. We need to know what kind of spirit we are of. We are of the Spirit of God. We have the likeness of Jesus in us. And what is that likeness? The Son of Man did not come to destroy, but to save, to restore, to build up. And we were made in that image and that likeness. You Disney fans, you've seen The Lion King, right? Remember when this ape, monkey, Rafiki. Remember Rafiki? He found out that Simba, the young Lion King, was alive. So he went to him and he asked him, "Who are you? Who are you?" And then he said, "Your father Mufasa is alive." And Simba said, "No, he's dead. He's dead. No, I'll show you. He's alive." He took him to the water and made him look at his reflection. And Simba said, that's not Mufasa. That's not my father. That's me. No. He's alive in you. And then, out of the clouds, remember this scene? Out of the clouds, Mufasa with this big voice, right? What's his name? James Earl Jones. He said, "You have forgotten me, my son. You have forgotten me." And Simba said, No, I have not forgotten you. No, you have forgotten me because you have forgotten who you are. The reason you've forgotten who you are is because you have forgotten me. And you were made in my likeness and image. And you have forgotten who you are. Therefore, you have forgotten me. And then as he was saying, as he was fading, he was saying, remember. Remember. And Simba was going, Dad, don't go. Remember? Remember. Remember the scene? You have forgotten who you are, Mufasa said. What happened after that? Simba started running, and Rafiki asked him, where are you going? I'm going back to return to my place in the kingdom of God. Not of God, but in the kingdom. In the circle of life, they said. That's what caused him to go back and take his place, because he was reminded, he realized who he was and who he was made in the image and likeness of. We have forgotten who we are. Let's face it. Let's admit it. We've forgotten who we have been made in the image of, which was why, tabi-tabi po, and I will step on all of our toes, which is why we destroyed each other, or at least tried to. Sad. We have forgotten that we're not destroyers. We've forgotten that we are builders, encouragers. People with edifying words. Remember, you still are builders. Remember, you were givers, you were blessers. You were givers of your time, your effort, of yourself. You ministered to people. You did not mind being disturbed in your office, in your work, your studies. You joined the work of the church. That's who you are. You never complained. That's who you are. That's who you were. That's who you still are. Remember, you were full of faith. You still are. So don't sigh. I'm not putting us down here, but making us realize, don't sigh over what we would call our glory days as a church. They're still here. The gifts are still in you. Poke the person firmly. Poke the person beside you and say, you are supposed to listen to this. This is good stuff. It's still there. Sadly, it lies dormant. Oh, how I wish you would one day be like Pinatubo, all of us. Dormant for a while, but when it explodes, it impacts the whole world. And its glory was seen from the moon, right? It's still there. In fact, it's there. It has its potential for greater glory. Because in the kingdom of God, things are supposed to be increasing. Not maintaining the status quo, increasing. Remember. Remind the person beside you again, remember. And return to your place. Return to your place. This is who you are. This is who God made you. This is CEC. This is Cathedral of the King. We're not done growing up. Not done. God's not done with us. He's faithful. He began a very good work. Still in the process, scratching, polishing the tarnish. And He will faithfully complete it until the end. My question is, will you be part of it? Will you be part of it? Will you choose to remember? Or will you choose to say, we'll never make it? No, we will make it. Don't lose hope. Greater is He who is in you than anything the world can throw at you. Remember, nothing has changed as to who we are. The only change is for us going from glory to glory. That's the only change. That's why I believe greater things are yet to come. We'll get better and increase, because that's the way it is in the kingdom of our God.